This year, with the Festival of the Lost, Bungie decided to lean hard into the dino theme and reintroduced a weapon from year one that we haven't seen in a long time, the Lincoln Green. But they gave it a facelift, and obviously random rolls with a fairly limited perk pool, so farming your ideal roll is a little easier to do than many other comparable weapons with much more extensive perk pools. But does this rapid fire frame energy pulse rifle actually have some genuine PvP value to it, or is it more of a novelty item in this event? Let's chat about that in today's video. First and foremost, thank you so much for the recent support on the channel. After 2 years away at Facebook Gaming, it's been so encouraging to see the channel growing again instead of just sitting still hanging out in limbo. If you're enjoying the content, do me a favor, consider pushing that like button, as that's the best free way to support content creators over here on YouTube. Alrighty, the Jurassic Green. Let's get the basics out of the way first. This is a rapid fire frame pulse rifle, meaning it fires 540 rounds per minute and has an optimal time to kill of 0.8 seconds, requiring 7 bullets to the head and 2 to the body. So there's some built-in forgiveness there. Generally speaking, rapid fire frame pulse rifles tend to be higher in the aim assist department than other pulse rifles, but they suffer in the range department. Keep that in mind because that will factor in a little later in our discussion. The Jurassic Green is an energy weapon of the Solar family. The thing is, there's already an energy rapid fire frame pulse rifle that tends to be hailed as king right now, and that is the Darkest Before. The Darkest Before, which is obtained by farming the final boss of the Prophecy dungeon this season, has an impressive perk pool with some of the most desirable dueling perks in the game right now, including things like Surplus, Quick Draw, Slide Shot, Rampage, Elemental Capacitor. Now, none of those perks that I just mentioned can actually drop on the Jurassic Green. So ultimately, is the Jurassic Green even worth using at all? Wouldn't you just be better off running a Darkest Before? And that's an excellent question, and I think that we should address it. But before I dive into that question, let me first make you aware of the role that I have right now that you're seeing in the gameplay today. I still haven't gotten my 5 out of 5 roll yet. I've almost completely finished out my book at the tower. I've had close to 20 Jurassic Greens drop so far. And the one in the gameplay is my 4 out of 5 roll. It's almost perfect. It's got corkscrew rifling, which is perfect. Ricochet rounds, perfect. Rangefinder, perfect. Stability masterwork, perfect. But in the last column, it rolled with Dragonfly, which is, I mean, it's a really satisfying perk to see whenever, you get a kill. No doubt about that. But it's actually very rarely useful. I did try running around with Dragonfly spec on it, but I think that actually helped yield an additional kill on average like once every 2 matches. So it seemed like a no-brainer to completely ditch it in favor of counterbalance stock, which helps out the recoil direction on the Jurassic Green considerably. So that's what you're seeing in this video currently. But if I get this exact roll but with multi-kill clip instead of Dragonfly, then this baby's going straight into the trash because that would be my god roll. So let's look at the Jurassic Green apples to apples against the Darkest Before regarding their stats. The Darkest Before has a considerable advantage in the range department, 41 compared to 34. Now obviously I always feel like I need to say this is a bit of a no-brainer, but I'll say it just in case. These values are going to fluctuate based on your rolls. These are not set in stone values, okay? Darkest Before also beats out the Jurassic Green in the stability department. It also beats the Green in handling. It also beats the Green in reload speed. It has more aim assist than the Jurassic Green. It has a better recoil direction and less severe bounce. Holy crap, that felt like a lot of bad news. And it was. That's the reality. It's almost undeniably worse than the Darkest Before. Does that mean that it has no redeeming qualities? Not at all. I would argue that the Jurassic Green is still worth trying to get your preferred roll on, even though in most competitive environments of Destiny, it won't be as good as the Darkest Before. Let's unpack the reasons why. The Jurassic Green has access to the perk Rangefinder. That's a big deal, actually. This perk is going to immediately boost this weapon's utility in PvP. With Rangefinder on the Green, you're going to be able to take some duels from deeper ranges than the Darkest Before can. You're going to surpass the Darkest Before's optimal dueling range. That's one positive. Another positive is access to Killing Wind and Heating Up, which are both great perks and a lot of fun to play with. Darkest Before cannot roll with these. So while Darkest Before is generally a better dueling weapon, the Jurassic Green is potentially the better weapon for kill chaining in 6s. It's got a lot of perks that sort of fit that role. I would take the Darkest Before in Trials, but I'd take the Jurassic Green in Control for fun kill chaining potential. You've also got multi-kill clip, which pairs very, very well with Killing Wind or even Heating Up. I decided to lean a little bit into the kill chaining idea and use the Burning Steps as well on my Titan. So you'll see a lot of kills with the Firewalker buff active in this video. I also used High Energy Fire. So you'll see a lot of kills where I'm putting up some bigger numbers on my headshots, and brings the optimal TTK down on this gun. And you can potentially 2-burst if you're hitting all your shots while you're buffed. You got that buff to damage. Darkest Before cannot fit in that build, by the way, in the same way that Jurassic Green can, considering Jurassic Green's a solar weapon, so Burning Steps works, and Darkest Before doesn't. That's another thing you have to sort of consider is your build specifically, what you want to do specifically. Sometimes a gun might not be as good as another gun, but something as simple as its element type could push you over the edge one way or the other and make you choose something that's technically a little bit worse but has more potential with the specific build that you're running that day. The Green also has access to the Adrenaline Junkie perk, which DMG recently confirmed on Twitter is getting a buff of some kind, so you may want to hang on to that set roll that you get at the beginning of your quest. The Darkest Before cannot roll that perk. So these two weapons are considerably different. They have completely different perk pools, ultimately letting them each have distinct roles that they fulfill. At the end of the day, I would say the Darkest Before is your best bet for any 3v3 playlist, while the Jurassic Green has the most killstreak and kill chaining potential in 6v6 environments. The last thing regarding this comparison that I will say is this. The Darkest Before has it's a lot less obtainable than the Jurassic Green. You know, the Jurassic Green is available to free-to-play players. It's easily farmable on your own time as a solo player, and you're going to get dozens of them if you're trying to farm it. The Darkest Before is locked behind an end-game PvE activity, and not just the first encounter. You need to get a team together and make it to the final boss and take him down, and cross your fingers that you get one to drop. Then you got to share checkpoints and repeatedly clear that encounter and hope to God that you get the roll you want. The Jurassic Green is completely the opposite. Destiny's resident grandma is going to be showering you with pulse rifles in a desperate attempt to earn your undying love. The Kel Echo is going to be trying to murder you. That's one major difference between the two that you cannot ignore. So, there it is. That's the Jurassic Green and why I think it's definitely worth your time to chase a good roll on this thing. I think if you don't, you'll be missing out. I suppose it's also worth mentioning that the Jurassic Green has freaking dinosaur scales. Like, it's got scales. That's kind of awesome. So, it's just another pro. So, good luck, my friends, in all of your farming endeavors. May you get lots of werewolves and lots of Jurassic Greens, and may your horror story drops be very, very few. And may the rolls you acquire carry you to sweet, sweet victory in PvP. Be warm and well fed, my friends, and I hope to catch you in the Crucible.